All right, we'll call to order the Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, July 18th, 2024. If we can start with roll call, please.
Chair Dennison.
Here.
Commissioner Brennan.
Here.
Commissioner Simcock.
Here.
Commissioner Yu.
Here.
Chair, you have quorum to conduct business.
Thank you. All right, first up, I will look for approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next order of business is the appointment of the chair and vice chair. We will nominate a chair and vice chair to serve the term from July of 2024 to June of 2025. Do we have public comment on this, or this just is an internal one?
This is just an internal one.
All right. I am happy to get nominated again for chair, because I think I'm happy to.
Yeah, I'll nominate you for chair.
I think that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, we'll need to figure out who's comfortable being vice chair. Either.
I have no problem with it.
You wanna do it?
Sure.
All right, then I'll nominate Pat Simcott for vice chair. So I guess this nomination is for me for chair and Commissioner Simcock for vice chair. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next up is approval of minutes of the June 20th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Were there any edits, changes, additions?
Nothing from me.
Nothing from me.
All right, then I will look for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? You gonna abstain?
I read the minutes, so I will not abstain.
Okay.
I'll vote.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Next up is our council liaison report.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commission, and welcome, Kevin. Nice to meet you, and welcome to the Commission. Your council has been very busy checking out your language with the CUPs and now TUPs coming up in the next council meeting. We're approving the second reading of the TUPs, particularly the film and photography section. So we're just creating some language, approving some of that language. So just want to let you guys know that. And let you know that I also attended the visit to the ADUs for the Spears, and it was really neat to see what project they did. So I encourage you guys to take a look at that. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We'll now take community input. At this time, any person may address the Planning Commission concerning an item that is not on the agenda. The Commission welcomes your attendance and participation. When addressing the Commission, please begin by providing your name and address for the record, and please keep comments to no more than 3 minutes to assure an orderly and timely meeting. Hearing none, we'll move on to disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts.
I drove to the 581. Didn't meet anybody, didn't get out.
Same here. Drove. I did not run into anybody.
I did visit 581 today and did walk the property exterior and did not have contact.
I've been there a couple of times before, so I'm familiar with it. All right, so at this time, we'll move on to the public hearing, a modification to Design Review Permit 22-07 to construct a new 5,427 square foot, 2-story single-family residence and a 3-car garage on the property located at 581 Sierra Meadow Drive. Do we have a presentation from staff?
Yes, Chair Dennison. Planning Commission this evening will be reviewing a modification to the approved Design Review Permit 2207 that was approved on December 1st, 2022 for the property located at 581 Sierra Meadow Drive. Sierra Meadow is located on the west side of the street, above Grandview Avenue and below Wisteria Way. Pursuant to the municipal code, the body granted the entitlement permit shall be hearing the modification in the same manner as the initial granting. And no modification shall be granted unless the granting body can make findings. So the applicant is requesting to make modification to the approved entitlement to construct a 5,427 square foot, 2-story, single-family residence, which includes an attached 3-car garage. The requested modification is to create a level first floor interior and remove all the interior level changes. And that modification will create exterior steps and guardrail on the outside accessing to the side yard and the rear yard. Also, they're proposing to change and rearranging the interior floor plan for the first floor, second floor, and the basement. The second floor will have a difference of 3 square feet. Modification number 4 is all the exterior on all 4 sides will be changed due to the interior elevation change. So all the window placement, it will have to shift it and be all leveled. So this is a fully code-compliant project that meets all the requirements. The changes in the project data are the total gross floor area increased by 3 square feet. The front setback has increased to 35 feet, 5 inches, that's the Sierra Meadow side. And the north side yard setback is reduced by 5 feet, which the entire footprint moved towards the north. So to the south, it actually increased another 5 feet. And there's no change on the building height and no change on the rear yard setback and also the parking. So this is the revised floor plan. The updated plan shows that the interior level is completely leveled. On the right-hand side, you can see the original approved floor plan, that there are interior stairs leading to the 2 wing towards the west. And those stairs are removed. And with that, they have to rearrange the stairs to the basement and rearrange the entire floor plan a little bit, but the design and the footprint and the square footage remain similar. Here's a revised basement plan that has to change due to the location of the stairs. And it has been reduced also because of the exterior wall and the footprint are a little bit different. This is the revised second floor plan. Instead of Y being a little bit elongated, and that's where the 3 square feet got added. And this is the section that depicts the interior level change has been eliminated. So now it's completely one single level for the first floor. And the interior layout was to achieve the client's desire to make the first floor at ADA accessible, ready for the future. And due to the interior change, now all the steps are in the exterior, creating a new rail and step system to access the rear yard and the side yard. So this is an enlarged plan showing that now all the stairs are taking place in the exterior. And this also shows that the setback from the property line to the south is about 56 feet 6 inches. And here is the before and after west elevation. This is the elevation to the west. So this will be the rear elevation. And you can see that before the stairs are inside, and that leads to the two wings to the west, and now those are eliminated. This is the east elevation before and after. This is the street elevation, so you're looking at it on Sierra Meadow Drive, looking towards the front door. And you can see that the massing is a little different. The main house is shifted to the north, and also the pad has stepped down about 18 inches to accommodate the steps in the rear.
And the top image is
The top image is the proposed, and then the bottom image is the original. And
I'm
this-
sorry, would you mind going back? So it looks as if the entire roof line in the proposed is lower than the original one, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But from the other side, it ended up to be about the same, but because it's majority of the massing is 1 story, so they are in compliance. They're below 25 feet. And this is the north elevation. It's a side elevation that you can see it clearly that the roof has been connected in one line that's aligned to the front of the house instead of the original elevation that is all stepped. And the middle tier roof are eliminated because there's no more level change. This is the south elevation. This will be facing the driveway alley. And here you can see the exterior stairs. The architect also provided a street elevation to show the project in relationship to the neighbor. So they're approximately more than 100 feet away. I think they have just submitted a survey that they are 110 feet away from the south neighboring property, and they're about 44 feet away from the north property. So before Planning Commission this evening, the alternative is for the Planning Commission to approve the modification to the approved design review permit 2207 pursuant to Planning Commission Resolution 24-12, or approve the application with modification, or deny the request by identifying the findings that the Planning Commission feels cannot be made and the basis for rejecting those findings, or continue the project and provide directions to the staff and the applicant. That concludes the staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the modification to the design review permit 22-07. That concludes my report. And the applicant and the architect are here if you'd like to hear from them or you have a question for them.
Okay, are there questions for staff?
So the finished floor on the first floor, how much did it change? From what to what? Or do we ask them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Defer that question to the applicant.
Okay. Then I'll save that for the applicant.
All right, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Thermos, you said it all. It all After we got our design review approval and we started working on our working drawings.
Your name?
Sorry, could you just tell us who you are?
Oh yeah, James Coane, Coane, 30 North Raymond Avenue, Pasadena. I'm the architect.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the owners just thought about getting older and everything, and started having some concerns about the floor steps, and they have a little bit of family history with some people having some difficulty. So they asked me to look at how to level the floors, and that's really the genesis of this. Having been through the previous approval, we were well aware of all the setbacks and heights and all the sensitive points, and made sure we kept those down. And the basement got smaller. The second floor got 2 or 3 square feet bigger. Some of that was also when we got rid of the steps on the floor and we moved the interior steps. Some of the bearing lines changed, so some walls just moved to make logical construction sense. But you'll see that all of the rooms are where they were before, and there's the floor plan changes are very minor, and not all windows changed, but a few windows changed just in order to be in the right place. In the some rooms shrank, and some rooms shrank by a foot or two, some got bigger by a foot or two, and so it's all, I could go page by page, but it seems Claire did a good job. So, but yeah, and then I know that we got a letter today, and I have several copies of the document we gave Claire just to show that we're going to be 110 feet from the complaining neighbor, and it's the same as it was. Well, actually, 2 years ago, it was 5 or 6 feet less than that. It was 105 or 104 feet. So in all of the little moving around we did to get the floors level, we also moved the building a little bit to the north to make less height getting into the building. And as Claire said, push the floor down a little bit. And pushing the building to the north a little bit helped that, which actually made the south setback 5 or 6 feet bigger. But other than that, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions.
Great. Any questions for the architect?
So, I'm not familiar with this project because it was before my time.
Oh, sure.
So my question was just from the elevations, because we don't have the comparison drawings. I don't have those, so I have the set that you
Do you want-
submitted. No, I was just wondering,
Oh.
the finished floor
Mm-hmm.
from the previous to now, has it changed levels?
It went down a little bit, maybe not 18 inches, maybe about a foot.
Okay, so the first floor went down 18 inches.
It went, yeah, the first floor, well, the upper part of the first floor went down between a foot and 18 inches. And then the western parts of the first floor that were much lower got brought up to meet that. We kind of had this, and we went,
But at the entrance area?
at the entrance area, it went down about a foot.
Okay, on
Yeah.
the front side, okay.
Yeah, that's where we have that little ramp in the front now.
Got it, okay. Right.
Any other questions for the architect?
No, that was my question too.
All right, and the ADU that they're gonna come back and apply for afterwards, but is always included on these drawings for reasons nobody understands, is still to be excluded from our conversations?
Correct, the ADU is included, and as part of the conditions of approval, they will have to apply for another entitlement and another permitting process.
But because it's an ADU, it won't come before us.
Right, the ADU is ministerial review.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
At this time, we will have public comment on this agendized item. Any person may address the Planning Commission concerning this specific item. Commission welcomes your attendance and participation. When addressing the commission, please begin by providing your name and address for the record, and please keep comments to no more than 3 minutes to assure an orderly and timely meeting. All right, hearing none, we'll bring it back for deliberation. Does anybody want to start?
I can go if you need me to. I don't really have too much to say just because it was already previously approved by, some smart folks that were here before and all of that. So maybe some people that were here already that are still here, but I don't think it opens up too much. Seems like the changes are reasonable within the walls of itself, and I know it adds some retaining and conditions and that kind of stuff, but it does occur more on the back side of it, so it doesn't impact the elevation itself in the front that's visible. So I can get behind these changes. I would like to just say something to the letter that came in about some of the issues of dust and all those things. That is something that is going to happen with a construction project, but just to not to reassure, but I mean, when I've gone through the process, when you get building and safety approval and all of that, when you get your demolition permit and all that, there are things that you have to go through with AQMD regarding dust and any splatter. And there's conditions that are part of that document that tells them that they need to X amount of spraying that needs to occur so the dust is not flying around. So there are measures that are going to be put in place, by code, regarding the demolition and all of that. So it's not just a free-for-all out there when somebody's demoing. So it's especially in California, that's a very serious thing. So just to put that out there.
Yeah, I tend to agree, because of this has been looked at before. The front is just, part of it's being lowered, so it's gonna slightly lessen, the impact. And again, yeah, that most of this, which, these outside stairs and everything, are to the south, but, driving by the property today, there's a lot of room between that south. There's that whole driveway that goes back, and then there's the, a big space between the next house. So I don't really, and, I would imagine that they're going to try to keep this kind of private. It's not going to be wide open like it looks like on this picture, because this will be somebody's backyard. So I'm fine with this.
I'm fine as well. I know that my understanding is the original design review was code compliant, and we're staying within that framework. I do appreciate that we're getting a little bit of a slightly lower elevation as well, so I think that's helpful, and the increase in the square footage while still compliant seems to be very immaterial, so the 3 square feet, so I can get comfortable with this.
I was here when we did the first review of this, and one of the things that was a big challenge is making sure that we didn't have the initial drawing, as I recall, was very flat across the front on the street side, and the architect did a great job of adding, some different planes in there so that we could see some good articulation. And what we have lost in this new version, while we did lower that front part of it, now instead of an articulated side view, we've got one incredibly long, dominant plane. And while it's not on the street side, there are 4 houses that front on that alley and look straight up at it. And the way that it tailors down, I think that for many years to come, there will be a large view of that. So I'm not in love with the articulation that we've lost in this, because we've basically tripled the length of this flat, long roof, that there are going to be people who see it. And so I feel like we've regressed a bit from where we had this great articulation on the front and articulation on the side to just a monolithic long side view of the house. And so while I certainly appreciate the idea of aging in place and having ADA compliant, I'd love to understand if there is any thought that we could give to articulation of this ginormous, long, monolithic wing of the house.
I guess we don't have I guess we don't have the 3D views in here, but the south side still has a big courtyard, and the living room pops out, and the family room pops out, and the master bedroom recesses. So let's see, if you look at,
I'm talking
Are you
about
talking about
the
the north?
south. So the,
you're talking about the one that faces the private street?
yep.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit of articulation in that. If you look at, why don't you look at, let's say, I guess A1.1 might be the simplest. And I know what you might be referring primarily more to the roof over the master bedroom, which had a few more steps in it. And I know elevations look awfully flat, but if you look at the floor plan or the site plan and you start, let's see, I'll do it this way. Why don't we go to sheet A2.1? And you see the leftmost item on the plan, with the sofa and the chairs in it, that's the living room. And then right above that is a big open courtyard. So there's no building there, it's just a big open courtyard. And then above that is the family room, which sticks back out again.
Sorry, he said A
Oh,
2.1.
A2.1.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I heard 8.
And I know elevations, they read flat to a lot of people, but if you go to A2.1 and you go to the left drawing that says first floor proposed changes to planning commission approval, and let's say you go right into the center of the building, you can see the spiral stair that goes up to the second floor. If you go to your left, that is a living room. And then right above the living room where we show tables and chairs and whatnot, that's actually an open courtyard. That's actually not building. So the building has huge offsets, maybe 30-foot offsets there. And then above the courtyard is the family room, which pops back out again. And then above the family room, you see the shaded, ADU area, which again recesses about 6 feet. So there actually are a lot of dimensional changes and offsets on that side of the building, although I agree with you, in elevation, they always look flat. But I wish we had the 3D drawing. There's quite a bit of in and out, and if you compare it, that part hasn't really, the footprint of that side of the building hasn't really changed. Some of the inside walls have changed, and then like you mentioned, the one thing that is missing is the terraced roofs
Right.
are not a terraced roof anymore.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Without that terracing of the roof,
Yeah.
we
No, true.
created a monolith
Yeah.
of roof line.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure we knew there was offsets there, so. All right.
Sure, so there's offsets. Yes, I understand what you're describing, but you also understand that now that we've done away with the terracing, that we have a single elevation roof.
Yeah, 2.5 roofs became
all
kind of
the way.
one roof, yeah. Yeah, it has a little bit of pop out with the master tub and stuff like that. Not just one long straight roof, but got a few pop outs. But yeah, it's different than before for sure. So,
Yeah, because, and you were very responsive when you were here before, and so I'm sure you remember the detail that we went to about the articulation and making sure that there was nothing that was too bulky or
yeah,
massy.
more on we had a slightly different front. We might have had I think we played around with the tower a little bit on the front the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, no.
So, thank you.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's my concern with the new design, is that where we had different levels, now we have just a really long roof line. I don't know if that gives anybody else pause, or if it's not sufficient enough to.
Can you help me understand what you're
Or
meaning?
Sure,
can
so
we
as
see-
you,
Because
Is
here's
there
the
any way we
roof.
can see the difference between the two? Wasn't it in the city's slide? Is there a way to look back at that?
yeah, you had the comparison, you had an elevation that showed the terraced initial design versus now the,
So this is the roof and this is the south side,
right,
right? So which part of it are you,
so, I'm sorry, so the way that so if you're looking at,
because that's not even there right now. Isn't that the ADU?
well, yeah, but that'll be there.
So I'm looking at
Right.
A6-1, A6.1. Is that the east elevation, and I can see the roof line here.
No, he's saying south
Or-
elevation.
Or south
Yeah, so A 6.2, the, you see the tower on the left side of it, and then this used to be, the part, everything to the left of that tower used to be terraced downward.
Okay.
Looks like Senior Planner Wolf is finding it for us.
Because that, I think, has to do with elevationally, we're just looking at a straight shot as if we were standing like 30 feet up in the air kind of thing. Like if you're at the site and looking at it, these that are closer are going to seem a lot taller, and the one that's sitting, the one that you're talking about, is going to be like 60, 70 feet beyond that. So that actually is going to look lower than the beyond the ivy, right? So if you're looking at it this way, this is going to seem lower and this is going to seem higher just because it's closer to you. So I think there is going to be a big difference in height. So not to diminish it, but it is actually going to diminish the view of that one in the back in real perspective, right? So those two on the right that are coming towards us are going to seem a lot taller, and then the one on the left is going to seem shorter.
Yeah, so, as we look at the original, we had the peak, and then you have that first drop, and then it continues to drop down as you head to the left of the screen. And now everything is at that initial peak. So the entire roof line is higher by quite a few feet. So it's now larger massing, and it continues for a greater distance because it doesn't have any of those step downs.
Could we look at the north elevation so we can get to that side? Just,
Well, from the north, you won't see any of that.
no, but we can see the difference of what the building did.
Yeah,
And you're gonna see it's gonna mirror
Yeah.
that.
so that's it. I mean, it's just the reverse of the
Yeah.
other one, right? But you see how long
Yeah.
that top ridge is because there's no step downs to that lower one.
Right. Right.
And I don't have my notes from the first one, from the first time that they came before us pulled up, but this is like the biggest house, like the #1 largest house on the entire survey. So
Right.
this is not a small house
No.
this is a big house in a neighborhood of houses that don't come close to this. And so I would just want to be careful about now coming back and not looking at everything
Mhm.
that we looked at the first time.
That entire span of that roof line is, do we know how many feet that is?
I bet he could tell us.
Let's see. What scale is this thing? Oh, it's got a bar scale. Great.
What was the date that this came before us before? Do you know?
December 1st, the modification, the second hearing was December 1st, 2022.
2022, thank you.
So to the tower element, yeah, it's about 63 feet. Yep.
Yeah, so it's
From edge to edge. Yeah.
so it's now a 63-foot long single
Straight,
plane.
flat line. Which is likely to be mimicked in the future if an ADU is built.
Yeah,
Like, maybe. We don't know. We can't see that.
which,
They're
yes,
telling us it is. So.
yes, but we can't make any considerations about the ADU because
I know.
it's a ministerial approval.
The ADU's gonna, yeah.
if I may.
Mm-hmm.
We dug up through our emails, we dug up some of the 3D model images that show that area, and we just emailed them to Claire if it helps you guys see it better. It might help a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
So I would say that, because you were involved with the initial review,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some things that are important to that session, and if this is not meeting that, I think that's important to take a look at. I think as it is now for me, I think this is the way it minimizes the roof as much as possible. I know that it does create a long plane, but with this roof shape, you're actually keeping the height of it as low as you can. But, you know, if you feel like we need to adjust this and break it up a little bit, I would support you in that too, so.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but it was on the north, and I in my brain, I didn't even mirror it to the south, so. This is,
That's kind of from the back. That kind of shows the back and the side.
so that includes the ADU.
So
Yeah, I mean, we're mirroring it regardless, right? So,
Are there other views? Is it just this one?
Yeah, we just a minute ago sent it to you.
sorry, I'm just trying to find from the very first time that we saw this where it ranked in the neighborhood, because I just think that's really germane to this conversation. Yeah, so the proposed project at 4678, the average top third was 3,128 square feet. And it looks like the next highest house was 4,400. And then below that, it drops into the 3,000 range. So there's, I mean, this is by a fair amount the biggest house around.
Right.
And I really like the way that roof line wasn't just one really solid, long roof line.
Well, the
in
front
early
front
on.
looks great.
They-
And then all the way to basically that back U.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess between it being compressed into one level and then also being raised up, I mean, it's a significant change to what we had seen before. But I'm not representing the previous planning commission on this. I just wanted to give some color as to the factors that we had discussed previously on this.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So for me, visually speaking, the visual here doesn't bother me too much. I see it here in this drawing though. So
The-
I'm struggling a little bit
Yeah.
to see
So-
how
This-
expansive this is gonna be. but
this
I-
would be
I
a-
appreciate
like-
Tom, I can see that roof line, and if it's present, it would give me a little bit of pause. Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know,
Could be-
perspective is everything on these drawings, right? Unless you're looking at this from a drone, there's nobody in town that sits at an elevation to see it at this angle, right?
Yeah.
Seeing it from the street is the angle that you'd see these.
And I'm just looking at it proportionally to the rest of the structure.
Yeah.
It feels fairly long and, it feels long and expansive.
So,
So my
I'm
only
sorry,
concern-
Mr. Cohn, do you want to?
Tom, I think my only concern is that if we ask them to vary the height of these things, it just means that a portion is gonna get higher.
That is my
Yeah.
my concern as well.
That's the only
Which can be
thing.
done, it's,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I can step the roofs a little bit, but something's just gonna get higher, so,
So their bathroom and walk-in closet's gonna get higher, so it's like.
right. You read floor plans well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly appreciate the efforts on the front side, bringing it down to making it one level. I mean, is there, how much buildup in the soils happened to get it to this level? Because as I recall, the lot kind of slopes towards the west.
Slopes, yeah, it slopes towards the west and towards the south.
Right, so there's some level of buildup to, or some level of soil that gets added in order to get it to this elevation.
Well,
right?
we have a taller crawl space. I mean, you know, we're not gonna fill it for no reason. We're probably gonna use the dirt in the planters. We're probably gonna take the dirt when we dig the footings and just put it in the planters. It's pretty close to balanced, believe it or not. Yeah, so and in the front, we can't push the front down too much more because we're barely above, you know, we don't want water coming in the front door. So we've already pushed it as far as we can. And there's even a little bit of a step down into the side right now. We don't want to go do too much of that. So we did what we could to push it down, and, you know, like I said, we had this and we went like that and like that.
Yeah,
You'll see in the cross sections, there's some of the crawl spaces are a little high, but it's better to do that than fill them, because then you're building lots more retaining walls to hold the fill. And we're already building the retaining walls to the planters, so it seemed wise to just put that dirt into the planters and not have to start importing dirt. Like I said, it's pretty close to balanced right now, so.
okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
And so I guess the trade-offs here are that if we add more levels, we're adding elevation in
Yeah.
to it. Is that a better breakup of it visually, or is it better to have it all be lower, but longer on a single plane? Those are kind of the trade-offs we're looking at.
Yeah, because you would have to go up, I mean, to break that up. So that middle.
Or lower the interior ceilings, but I don't know where those are at.
Let me see. I think they were fairly standard. They have 10 feet to the top plate, so
Yeah.
it's pretty standard, yeah.
Well, thoughts?
I don't know a way to fix it without making it kind of bigger or more seen, you know, a taller height. It would break it up if you stubbed that somewhere. But there's no way to really change it still had the slope's gonna have to be that same. It's just gonna have a step, and I don't know what the solution. I don't know if a solution would be better than this.
Well, I mean, the old design.
Right.
What is the peak height there, about 15 feet, 14 feet. If you said the top plate's 10 feet, what's the attic in there? Was it?
So to the ridge, you mean?
Yeah, to the
Yeah.
edge.
For that one?
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot lower than the
I don't
front.
show it, but it's,
I think the maximum
Six-
height is shown above it, so you might be able to.
it's probably like 14,
14, 15 feet.
yeah. It's pretty low. Their slope is pretty low, or it's a 4 to 12, so.
I mean, the challenge is, I think we do want people to have houses that they can age in place, and balancing that with the least visible of, well, not the least visible of the sides,
That's true.
the third least visible of the sides. But that there's not a ton of neighbors that are going to be affected by this, and there's a house that looms above that, so it's not like we're blocking a mountain view or anything.
True.
Because all those houses are built directly above that. It's so we're just blocking their view of the hill. I guess I can get behind that. I like the last one a lot better.
Well, you guys spent a lot of time on it, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's nicer.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I guess we've talked ourselves into it. So
Yeah,
I'll look-
it's the first story, so.
I will look for a motion to approve it.
I will make a motion to approve modification to design review permit 2207 as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, good
Next
discussion.
up, Planning Commission reports.
Oh, I had something.
You want us to come back to you? You look confused.
Okay. I would like to welcome Commissioner Brennan to our council here, our commission. So thank you for volunteering, and I know you're gonna get to spend a lot of time doing all the homework that we get to do here, and look forward to you sharing your opinions.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really an honor for me to be here. So I'm looking forward to working with the rest of the commissioners and city staff and applicants. So I'm looking forward to chipping in.
Great, great.
So one of your conditions that I need to move to 5:30, is that what happened?
Right.
I'm not sure how it happened, but I think it was a good decision.
Okay.
I think the council has been talking about doing
Second.
that for a long time.
This happens to be.
It may have happened to have been based on who he was, the spot he was taking more than him joining, but welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Planning and Community Preservation Department reports.
Chair Dennison, our next meeting is on August 1st, and we have a certificate of appropriateness for a property located at 647 West Sierra Madre Boulevard. And that concludes my report.
All right. If there's nothing else, then we will go ahead and close the meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting of August 1st. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we say thank you for this? Thank you.
Yes. That wasn't it.